The one who came back 6 years ago. My twin brother Adam vanished during a hiking trip in the Rockies. We were 22 then, and that trip was supposed to be our yearly tradition. Just the two of us, a couple of tents, some freeze-dried food, and the unfiltered silence of nature. But that year, only one of us came back. They never found a body, just his boots, half buried in snow and mud near a ravine. They said the current could have dragged him downstream for miles. The official report ruled it accidental death by misadventure. My parents held a memorial, even had a plaque made for the local park. I refused to attend. Something in me never truly believed he was dead. But today, I think he came back. It started with a photo. I woke up around 3:12 a.m. from a buzzing sound, my phone. I reached for it groggily, annoyed, assuming it was some spam call. Instead, it was a message from a blocked number with no name, no contact info, just a single photo. It was of me sleeping. The angle was strange, taken from my bedroom door, focused on me curled up under my blanket. My face was half lit from the street lamp outside the window. It was from tonight. I recognized the book I'd left open on the side table and the pizza box from dinner. But I live alone. Heart-pounding, I leapt from bed and turned every light on in my one-bedroom apartment. I checked the locks, the windows, even the damn closet. Nothing. No signs of forced entry, no footsteps on the dusty balcony. But I couldn't shake the feeling someone had stood there watching me in the dark. I didn't sleep after that. The next day, I called the police. They chalked it up to a prank or a break-in attempt. They promised to check the security footage from my hallway, but I never heard back. Later that evening, I noticed the building's hallway camera had been torn out, wires exposed. That night, a voice called my name, soft like a whisper. Daniel, I jumped out of bed. The sound had come from the hallway inside my apartment. I grabbed the baseball bat I kept behind my bedroom door and slowly crept forward. I reached the hall and flipped the light on. Nothing. Then I turned around and found a note taped to my bedroom door. Do you remember what you did? My stomach turned to ice. I hadn't told anyone, but I had lied about part of the trip 6 years ago. Adam and I hadn't gone hiking alone that day. We'd had an argument the night before, bad enough that I stormed off on my own. When I came back to camp, he was gone. What I never told the police was what I found buried under a pile of rocks near our site. A notebook. It was Adam's. The pages were filled with drawings of strange symbols, eyes, and spiral patterns. On the last page, he'd scribbled, "He's not me, he wears my face." Back then, I thought he'd gone crazy, maybe hallucinating from dehydration. But now I wasn't so sure. The next few days blurred into paranoia. I kept seeing someone outside my window. Always at night, always still. Once I thought I saw my own reflection move before I did. Then came the video, again from a blocked number. It was only 5 seconds long, but it made my blood run cold. It was a recording of me from behind, walking down the street earlier that day. But I hadn't noticed anyone following me. And more chillingly, I was already holding my phone in my hand at the time. Meaning whoever filmed it wasn't holding my phone. Someone else had a perfect view. That night I called my mother. I told her everything. At first she stayed silent. Then in a shaky voice she said, "I got a postcard last week. It was signed Adam, but it had no return address. Why didn't you tell me?" "Because it was written in your handwriting." Silence. I booked a therapist appointment the next day. Maybe I was losing my mind. But then the therapist, Dr. Keene, asked to see the messages and photos. He studied the image of me sleeping. Then he zoomed in on the reflection in the window. He turned pale. It's you, but different, look." And he was right. In the reflection, my twin, or someone who looked like me, stood at the door. But his eyes were wrong, too wide, too hungry. We tried tracing the number, burners, dead ends. I stopped sleeping, stopped working. Friends thought I was having a breakdown. Then one night I woke up to the sound of my own voice. "Daniel," it said softly, "time to come back." I followed the voice out to the hallway and into the kitchen. There on the floor was a mirror I hadn't seen before. Not mine. I stared into it. My reflection stared back. Then it smiled. I didn't. He whispered from the mirror, "You left me there. I've been watching, waiting. Now I want your life." I shattered the mirror with the bat. Shards flew everywhere, but no blood, no screams, just silence. Now even the mirrors feel dangerous. I cover them all, but last night I woke up to a knock at the door. When I opened it, no one was there, just a package. Inside was a hoodie, the same one Adam wore on our final hike. And tucked into the pocket, a photo of me smiling standing in the woods next to my twin. But I don't remember that moment. I've never been back there. Smashed my phone. Not just because of the last message, but because the screen lit up just before, showing a live feed of me from above. My ceiling fan doesn't have a camera. Nothing in my apartment does, at least not that I installed. Now I sleep with the lights on. I don't trust mirrors. I've thrown out all the ones in my home. Even the reflection in windows puts me on edge. I wear sunglasses at night just so I don't accidentally meet its eyes again, because I know he's watching through them. I spent the next week tracing every piece of that nightmare. I drove out to the Rockies, back to the trail where Adam vanished. The rangers recognized me. "You sure you want to be here?" one of them asked. "That time of year again, huh?" "What do you mean?" He looked uneasy. "We've had reports, strange stuff, people seeing double, shadows that don't match. Hikers leaving in the middle of the night, claiming they saw themselves standing by their tents." I kept walking. When I reached the old campsite, my heart dropped. Someone had been there recently. The fire pit had ash that wasn't there before. A torn piece of blue nylon, same color as the tent we'd used. Then I saw it. Carved into the tree where we used to hang our food bag was a message, scratched in deep. "Welcome back, Daniel." Beneath it, 2 crude stick figures were carved, identical, both smiling. I pitched a tent nearby, unable to sleep. I left my phone off, just had a notebook, a flashlight, and a hunting knife for comfort. But around 2 a.m., something outside started circling the tent. Crunch, crunch, pause, then a laugh. My laugh, I held my breath, hoping it would pass, but it didn't. A hand touched the tent wall, then dragged its nails slowly across the nylon. I whispered, "Adam?" And my voice answered, "You finally remember my name." I bolted out of the tent with the knife, but the woods were empty, no wind, no animals, just silence. Until I turned around. There he stood, identical to me in every detail, but his skin was just a little off, like it had spent too much time in the cold. His eyes didn't blink, and his mouth never stopped smiling. "You left me," he said. "You closed the notebook, you buried the truth." I didn't understand. He continued, "That day on the mountain, I didn't fall. You pushed me. You read the last page and saw what I was becoming. You didn't want to share your life with me anymore." "No," I whispered. "You were changing, that thing in the cave. You mean the truth," he interrupted. "It showed me we were never meant to share this world. Only one of us could stay. So you left me behind." He stepped forward. I stepped back. He raised a mirror shard in his hand. The reflection in it was not mine. It was some distorted, stretched version of my face, eyes black, mouth too wide. He whispered, "Now I'll walk through what you tried to bury." And then he vanished. I returned home. Nothing was normal. People avoided me on the street. My coworkers said I'd already quit last week. My landlord said he saw me moving out yesterday. And my mother, when I called her, she screamed, "Stop calling me, you're not my son." I ran to her house, banged on the door. She opened only slightly. She looked terrified. Behind her, another me sat on the couch, eating cereal and watching cartoons. He looked up and waved. "Morning, bro." Now I don't know what's real anymore. He's taken my life, and he's better at living it, smiles more. Acts like he cares, he even has Adam's laugh, but I remember something he doesn't. The last entry in the notebook Adam found in the woods before he changed. I dug it up. It read, "If you see your reflection move before you do, run. That's not you anymore." And now I wait. Because tonight I'm going to finish what I didn't have the courage to do 6 years ago. I'm going to look him in the eye. And this time, only one of us is walking away. I've spent the last 3 days watching him, watching myself. He's moved into my life like he owns it. Same job, same friends, same routines, but he's better. Everyone seems to like him more than they ever liked me. He remembers the details I forget, says the right things at the right time, smiles like he means it, but I know it's an act, because I'm the real Daniel, and he's not alive. Last night I broke into my old apartment, the one he now lives in, at 3:17 a.m. The exact time I got that first photo. I picked the lock, quiet as I could. I entered the apartment that once felt like home, but it felt wrong. Every photo had my face, but not my eyes. They were colder, more alert, almost smug. Then I saw the mirror in the hallway, the one I'd shattered. It was whole again, not replaced, repaired, seamless, like nothing ever happened. I stepped toward it, and then for the first time in weeks I saw something new. The reflection didn't mimic me exactly. When I raised my left hand, it raised its right. But then it winked, and I hadn't. That's when I realized it's not just about replacing me. He's building a bridge. I found the notebook again, the one Adam left behind in the woods. I'd buried it after the first trip, tried to forget it. But the symbols inside had started appearing around the mirror frames in the apartment. I looked up one of them, a spiral symbol on an obscure paranormal forum. "Gateway for mirrored life forms, duplicates. Possessors," one comment chilled me. "Once the reflection learns enough about you, it can walk through, but the original must either be destroyed or willingly forgotten." That's why people stopped recognizing me. That's why my mother screamed. He's erasing me, so I planned the only thing I could, a trap. Tonight I returned to the apartment. He was asleep or pretending to be. I waited, sitting in the living room, staring at the mirror. Then just before 3:17 a.m. he walked in, calm, wearing my hoodie. He sat across from me. For a long time we said nothing. Then he spoke. "Why keep fighting this?" I clenched the hunting knife in my hand under the table. "You took everything," I said. "I only took what you wasted." He leaned forward, smiling. "But I have a proposal, one that doesn't end in blood." I raised an eyebrow. He continued. "We both know there's room for only one of us in this world. But maybe, just maybe, you don't belong here anymore, not in this version of reality. There's another place, through the mirror. That's where I came from. You want me to live in the mirror?" "No," he said. "I want to offer you a chance to start over, a life where no one remembers you but nothing hunts you either, clean slate. Peace, and if I refuse," he smiled wider, "I'll keep erasing you until even you forget who you are." I thought about it. What do you do when the world forgets you? When your own life betrays you? But then I remembered something. In Adam's notebook, one last line was scrawled on the inside cover. "Don't look into the mirror, smash it from behind." The front is his world, the back is mine. While he waited for my answer, I stood slowly, pretending to consider it. Then I stepped behind the full-length mirror. He chuckled. "Deciding already?" I nodded and drove the blade straight through the glass from behind. It shattered instantly, glass flying out into the room. He screamed not in pain, but in rage. The air around him shimmered like heat over asphalt. His face flickered. For a moment I saw something beneath the skin, something that wasn't human, and then, just as quickly, it was over. He was gone. So was the mirror, just dust. It's been 3 days. No more texts, no more photos. My reflection moves with me again. But the world hasn't gone back to normal. My coworkers still don't remember hiring me. My mother still won't answer the phone. My apartment is legally rented under my name, but they insist someone else lives there. I think destroying the mirror ended him, but not the damage he did. Because here's the truth I've come to accept. I won. But I'm still not really here. I've become what he wanted me to be, invisible, forgotten, an echo of a life. I haven't slept since I shattered the mirror, not because I'm afraid of what's coming through anymore, but because I'm afraid of what's already inside. The silence is louder now. I walk through streets where no one meets my eyes. People brush past like I'm made of smoke. I order coffee, but the barista looks through me like I'm a shadow on the wall. Once I shouted my own name in the middle of a crowded square. No one turned, not even a glance. I tried reaching out again, to my mother, my old friends, co-workers, even childhood neighbors. But their responses were all the same: confusion, suspicion, fear. One finally answered, a girl I used to date in college. When I said, "It's Daniel," she just frowned. "That's not possible." "Why not?" I asked, my heart in my throat. She turned her phone screen to me. There was a photo of me, taken just yesterday, standing with her smiling at a wedding, arm around her waist. "Daniel's right here," she whispered. That night I stared into the bathroom mirror for hours, not because I expected him to return, but because I wanted to see him. I needed someone to say it, that I was still real. The notebook, Adam's notebook, kept changing. Every day more words appeared in the margins, words I hadn't written but were written in my handwriting. Like someone was finishing my thoughts, just slightly wrong. On the final page, where I once saw only blank space, a message faded into view under heat. "If you want the truth, come back." To where it started. So I went back to the Rockies, one last time. The trail was emptier than I remembered: dead trees, frozen air, and silence, not the peaceful kind, but the kind that feels engineered. When I reached the old site, the wind stopped. I swear to you, even the birds stopped singing. The air around the clearing shimmered like something waiting or watching. That's when I saw it. A mirror 7 feet tall leaned against a pine tree like it had grown there. But this time it didn't show my reflection. It showed Adam. He was alive. Or something close to it. His skin was pale, stretched. His eyes flickering with a light I didn't understand. He smiled. "You made it," he said. His voice echoed, not from the mirror, but from all around me. I stepped forward. "What is this place?" "It's the in-between, where things wait, where reflections go when they're not welcome." "Why am I here?" He tilted his head. "Because you're not the original anymore. You crossed a line the day you broke the mirror. Now you've blurred who's real and who's the copy." I swallowed hard. "Then who am I?" His smile faded. "You're what's left." I reached out and touched the surface of the mirror. It wasn't glass. It rippled like water. Adam stepped back inside it. "Join me," he said. "You don't belong out there anymore." I looked over my shoulder. The forest behind me felt fake, too still, like it was waiting for me to make a decision. Then I looked back at the mirror and saw something else. Not Adam, not me, something behind us both, tall, shadowed, watching, its eyes like open wounds in space. I stepped back. "You lied," I said. "This isn't about taking a life. It's about feeding something." Adam, my reflection, just smiled again. "It's always been hungry, we were just the bait." The thing behind the glass began to move, fast. I turned to run. I don't remember how I made it back. All I know is I woke up outside the tree line at dawn, covered in frost and sweat. The notebook was gone. My clothes smelled like smoke. The air behind me felt empty, like the forest had swallowed its secret again. That was 3 days ago. Now the mirrors are silent. The world still doesn't remember me. But I'm starting to remember something else, flashes of a different life. One where Adam survived, where I was the one who vanished. Sometimes I wonder. Maybe I was never Daniel. Maybe I came through the mirror 6 years ago. Maybe the real Daniel was just trying to take his life back. I don't know who I am anymore, but I do know this. Every night at 3:17 a.m., a new message appears on my bathroom mirror, written in fog even when there's no heat. "One of you still belongs to me." And each night the message changes just a little. Last night it said, "Tomorrow you won't remember which one." Tonight I'm going to sit and wait, not with fear, not with hope, just silence. Because when the mirror calls again, this time I might answer.